You know that scene in The Dark Knight Rises where Batman is like learning, like he hurt his back and he's getting stronger and climbing out of that pit,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That is me when it comes to our band budget and our bills every single year. I'm just climbing the walls, just trying my best to get out of the pit of repair bills that we get. And so the band booster program for us is a game changer. We would not exist as a program. We wouldn't do all the things that we do.
I'm recording a podcast. You need to shut that door, please. I'm sorry, Ryan, you're gonna have to edit that out.
Hello and welcome to the Bandroom Therapy Podcast. I'm here again. My name is Mr. Ashley and I am a band director in Arkansas. I've been here for 12 years and today we have a whole panel of people. I'm not going to say band directors because not everyone on here is a band director. And we are here to talk about band boosters and what it looks like in your school and things that you might need help with guiding and band boosters in your program. So who else do we have here?
Hey guys, I'm Sharon, aka the band mom. I've got 4 kids. 2 stuck with band all through high school, 2 didn't. One is a band director now. He marched all sorts of drum corps, aged out with Blue Devils. My other one's going to be in a college band this year, but I've been a band booster for a very, very long time. This year I kind of took off just to enjoy being a senior parent, but I've been heavily involved for over a decade. I don't want to count.
Gideon, you want to go?
Oh, yeah, sure. My name is Mr. Garcia. I am a band director also in Arkansas, not too far from these other 2 fine Arkansan folks. And I'm just happy to be here also just for the love of the game. You know, I love band and I love talking about it.
All right. My name is Mr. Morgan, also known as Cooking with Valve Oil, and I am a middle school and high school band director in central Pennsylvania.
So not Arkansas. So
Yeah, definitely not Arkansas.
this is definitely a podcast of which one of these doesn't belong. One non-Arkansan.
I have a
one
hard
non-
time saying that I'm Arkansas though, because I'm not from. If you're a Texan,
Claim
it is
it.
really
Just
hard to
claim
say.
it. Just claim it.
I'm working
Give
on
it up. Give it
I've
up.
been here long enough. Okay. I live in Arkansas.
And one of us doesn't have a mustache. So, you know, there's one of us that.
The kid in Belize on TikTok Live told me that I had a mustache. So I got
no.
a letter.
How
I
embarrassing.
don't, by the way, I don't, but he said that I did.
So guys, let's first talk about the band booster situation in your school. So in my school, we have a band booster. I wouldn't say it's the strongest of all band boosters. And that's partly because we kind of really don't need it to be. I'm very blessed where I'm at. We have a very high funded school. We get all the support we need from admin. I know there's other uses for band boosters and we're going to talk about those, but the boosters at my school is just exactly what it needs to be. And it's not the largest organization, but it serves its use for me. What about you guys?
You know that scene in The Dark Knight Rises where Batman is like learning, like he hurt his back and he's getting stronger and climbing out of that pit, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen
After
it.
Bane broke
So,
it.
so that is me when it comes to our band budget and our bills every single year. I'm just climbing the walls, just trying my best to get out of the pit of repair bills that we get. And so the band booster program for us is a game changer. We would not exist as a program. We wouldn't do all the things that we do were it not for the band booster program. We have supportive principals, and that's all I'm going to say. if you
For
catch my
us,
drift.
our band program, kind of like Mr. Ashley, like we are very well funded by our school when it comes to the day-to-day operations. Our boost organization is actually a high school music boosters. So it's a combined band and choir front, which we just did a couple of years ago. But it is truly then meant to boost already what the school provides for kind of the extra things that go on, whether that be trips or experiences, or we'll get into like everything that they provide. But we're still kind of climbing out of our rebrand from being separate band and choir into one combined music booster.
Can I
But
follow that up?
it
Are
is
you
pretty strong.
the choir teacher too?
So I am not.
Man, so now I'm interested in how that relationship works, that you have 2 big organizations, or at least organizations that do take a lot of time, that share a booster. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
We'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I just didn't know how it worked.
Yeah. So what do you think the ideal relationship looks like? You know, you got your booster, you have the parents, you have the kids, which at the end of the day is, we all agree, is what we're all here for, right? Right? We're all here for the kids. So how do you see that relationship working? And when you do need to call on your boosters, do you call your head honcho booster president? Do you call everybody? Do you call certain people? Do you have a organization set up?
So the way we have it set up is we have a booster president, and so she's awesome. I mean, I felt really bad one day. I was at Sam's Club, like at just a random Thursday night, and she was there with like 4 buggies full of food for the concession stand. Like she was putting in the work. Her last kid
Rock
actually
star.
graduated this year, so I am obviously worried, and we're gonna have to figure this situation out for next year. But so she's the president, and that's who I communicate with the most, and she then kind of communicates to everybody else. I do have a text thread that I can get like just random information out to everybody, but when there is something that's like a big ask or something that needs to be purchased, I go with her just so that she can then take the time to communicate it to her people and answer any questions. And so, because they know each other a lot better than some of them even know me, you know, I felt like that works out really well. I think it obviously depends on, I have heard of some booster situations where every single person wants to be involved in every single text message. I mean, I guess that you have to kind of adjust based off of the school and the people that you're working with.
So
I'm curious as a parent, before we pass off to Chris, do you prefer if it's just one representative from the boosters who's communicating with you, say outside of booster meetings, but hey, we need this, hey, we need this, or hey, this is going on? Is it easier for you just to work through the booster president, or do you just let the boosters come to you as they need things individually?
Well, for me, just since I had just mentioned that, I love people. I love talking to all of them. I have a meeting once a semester with all the folks that are involved in that booster program, just to kind of hear what their dreams are for the program, what they envision that can be done, and it really is more a thing of immediacy, that we know that there's a person that can answer and sign checks or whatever it is, you know. But I to me, it's like I'll talk to anybody and everybody. It's more a matter of practicality that I just deal with one person.
Ours, we've kind of, and this will go into the co-booster situation. We kind of have both of the directors, so myself and our choir director, and our executive board. So president, vice president, we have 2 treasurers to double sign on everything, because you better have that if at all possible. And we have co-secretaries for making sure that at least one of them can be at meetings, but we meet every month. So there's not really a lot. Well, we try to meet every month. May and December will never happen, but we try. And we will, like, if anything happens, we just text a group chat. We'll just go right ahead. And it's kind of many hands will make light work there.
Yeah.
I have some of them, like the president, vice president, they'll answer a question because it never got to me. Or, hey, somebody asked this, they'll answer it all. We're kind of, again, as we're rebuilding this, we decided to go for the full team effort. So I'm on those Sam's Club runs because I need to know myself too, for future booster presidencies, concession stand takeover. I got to also be equally involved. If I'm
absolutely,
fundamentally, I believe that if I'm going to be asking to spend the money, I should be a part of the money making as well. So when we talk about fundraisers and concession stuff, like I can fully talk about my involvement there for better or worse, but it's a lot. But I think that actually goes further with the parents then when they see that I'm in it just as much as they are.
Absolutely.
For the sake of their kids.
I remember seeing one of our directors work the concession stand because my husband he ran the football concessions all fall for a couple of years. And I remember having some directors come in and help us. And I was like, wow, like I'd never seen that before. And it spoke volumes.
I have worked many a concession stands, and it is not the most fun. My setup when I first got at my school, the concession stand was atrocious. There was no refrigerators. So we spent 5 a.m. every morning that we opened them, icing down drinks. And then we'd go in about noon and re-ice them because it's Arkansas and it's 100 degrees. And then right before the game, we'd ice them a third time just so they'd be cold. And oh my goodness, slinging drinks in the heat, nacho cheese and chili in the heat is not fun. Not fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and especially for young
we need
directors.
an episode on concession stands.
Absolutely, I have seen situations in where there are young directors that may not exactly know that is something you need to do. Like you need to go visit after the game, right?
Sorry guys, we lost Mr. Garcia. He rage baited all of us and had to be booted from the podcast. So We are sorry, Mr. Garcia. We will see you another time, but we're going to continue on with the three of us. So let's talk about boosters at more of the district level. So do you ever see your boosters come in and maybe want to advocate for your band program at the district level for superintendents or school boards?
For us, we don't really have to face that issue. We have had times in the past where they have come as concerned parents and taxpayers and gone that route. But normally, if anything, like the most recent was seeing if the school would buy the timpani instead of trying to fundraise for it. Because we've been here about 30 years old, it's about time. So typically their presence for advocating tends to be on our social media and sharing that and really spreading the word so the rest of the community knows that. And then it just serves itself. We don't really have to do much else there.
Can it be helpful? Can it be hurtful? And sometimes if parents are wanting to advocate and, do you want them to really come to you first if they feel like the district needs to do something?
I think me as a director, I would say it's better to come as a parent, as you were just saying, as a parent instead of as a booster club. I feel like a lot of times admin get really sensitive about their positions. And when they feel like there's an organization coming at them, they tend to get a little bit defensive. And so I think not that like boosters need to stay in their place, but sometimes it's better to come at it as, hey, I'm a concerned parent, and not, I am the leader of an organization. You need to do this. And I feel like a lot of times admin can get a little sensitive about their positions.
Well, and I think you'd have to be careful that it doesn't come back on the organization itself and the school, by the act of one single person wanting some form of either reprimand or, repercussions for the organization because of one or two or a few individuals. So that's kind of the politics of it all, of figuring out what approach will probably sway the opinions better, and I guess actually keep the kids and the program out of the line of fire too. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always just curious. I never knew, and I'm not one of those people who's like, I'm gonna go to the school board, but I was always just curious when parents did say they were gonna do that. I'm like, what's the better way to do it? Does a director really want them to do it and they're just afraid to say, we want you to do that because they don't want to get in trouble? Or does it, hurt the band when they're trying to maybe advocate for something else and then a parent's going around them and asking for, something?
I think as a director, I think the more voices that say the same thing and echo what we're saying helps. I think the problem comes from coming from it as a position of power sometimes. Have you ever been part of a system that built a booster from scratch? What would you do to do that? I know at my situation, we didn't die, but I feel like COVID, there's that C word we could probably do a whole podcast on, killed a lot of stuff. And so for us, boosters during COVID had nothing to do for like 2 years. And so I wouldn't say we built a booster from scratch, but having to come back after COVID and like, all right, we need to set up a president again. We need to elect officers. We need to figure out, it's something that you need to, as you do it, ChatGPT is a good source, something to write up a good constitution for your band boosters of like, what's our goal? What are we going to do? These are all things you need to consider when you build a boosters. Is what is truly the purpose? Are you supporting the band? Are you financially supporting the band? Are you going to focus just on the high school? Are you going to help the feeder programs? Are you going to look out for this? You have a lot of things to consider. So what are some things that you think you need to consider that other people might not when starting a booster from scratch?
So we just, I think it was in 2020, we went and reorganized our boosters when we decided to consolidate, but also we were having issues with like tax exemption and things like that. So we said, let's just start. We're going to get a new tax number, all the things. So the biggest thing that we've learned is just the paperwork side of how to keep yourself legit and on the up and up. There are a lot of PTOs in the world that just kind of exist without going through the proper channels. For us, I mean, we deal with tens of thousands of dollars every year in fundraising and expenditures and all that stuff. So proper tax reporting, proper identification, tax exemption, all of the fun logistics side is definitely one where if you are not familiar with it, you need to find somebody who is and make sure that what you're doing, even if it costs some money to get an actual certified public accountant, totally worth that money, because any amount of filing paperwork is cheaper than a lawsuit. So, and that's the side that no one will ever be able to teach you or any of your volunteers who are going to be officers or founders or anything. You can't really learn that until you're doing it. That is not taught in band director school.
Ryan, I've never been part of a startup from scratch booster. organization. I came from one that was very, very well-oiled machine. And then I came into what I would still consider a new booster organization. It was when we came in, I think 6 years old. It was a newer sister school, but just seeing what those founding members were having to do just to build it from the ground up, it's just a lot of, you feel like you're just playing catch up, even though you have the organization and you know what you need to do. It's the getting the funding, recruiting, and those were experienced parents. So I think even if you know what you're doing, it's just you got your work cut out for you.
Well, and Ryan, I think like you said, you have to figure out what you're going to prioritize as an organization. Is it scholarships? Is it going to be trips and funding that? Is it going to be you are the sole proprietor of uniforms, or does the school cover that? So I think determining your role within everything when you start and then as you continue is kind of important, especially if the school ever asks, can you change your role? You can say, we were founded to be XYZ. That's where we're going to operate within. And I think it kind of serves both to help you as the program and the boosters as an organization to have that kind of, clear separation of school and boosters.
Yeah, definitely prioritizing what's important to you and what's important to your organization has got to be key. If you're a school with a budget, determining what is the booster side of it, what are they going to provide, and what is your budget going to provide, that's another thing you have to consider too. I know when our booster was super involved before we had a budget, boosters was basically in charge of meeting individual kid needs. So if we were going out of town, meals, if we were taking kids on a special field trip, they would help provide that kind of stuff. Whereas instruments and all the more musical school supplies list was more of a budget issue. So you have to consider what is your band booster funding versus what is your school budget funding, as well as all that. So in talking about, the biggest number one thing boosters are there for is money. So let's talk about fundraising. What is some fundraising that you see what works very well versus fundraising that does not work well? I know in my community, the types of fundraisers that work very well is stuff that kids get in hand the second they spend money. So you got like chocolate bar fundraisers, all this kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, you do not make a lot of money on stuff like that. You have to do a big grind on that kind of stuff. But the fundraiser we were super successful with this year was the texting fundraiser. I know there's lots of groups that have done it. Chris may not have heard it based on his...
No, I haven't actually. That's new for me.
Yeah.
Basically, you get a list of phone numbers. Every kid types in all these phone numbers. They basically put their whole contact list in this app, and it's blasts this text message. Hey, so-and-so band is raising money. Would you like to donate? And they say, yes, $10. And $10 goes to your band. And that's the end of the fundraiser. You get nothing.
Brian,
You
we
just-
did one like that, and it was a telethon where they called and we brought all the kids into the cafeteria. I was extremely skeptical about this. Was like, this is not going to work.
Us
I don't know what
too.
it is. This is awkward.
Yeah.
And I have been preaching this since day one after doing it. But we brought everybody into the cafeteria. They have their sections. They're calling people. And while the people that are actually calling people are getting money, there's a big screen up front where it says how much is coming in, which sections are getting money. And then like if somebody gets a $50 donation, they get to run up and like draw for a prize. And before you know it, all the other kids are finding everybody that they know to call that they didn't know to call before. We were thousands and tens and tens of thousands of dollars on these fundraisers,
easily.
even at a junior high.
Wow.
And we're talking about a Title I school district. So when people say it can't be
Us
done
too.
because your district is too poor, let me tell you, you can.
Yes, I highly preach that fundraiser because, and it's not just a one-day thing. It's a one-day kickoff, and that kickoff you make, like she said, tens of thousands of dollars easily. But then it rolls for like 2 weeks, and that number just ticks up. We kept it on in our band room. We have a couple TVs around, and we just had that number on our band room, and the kids just watched it roll. They come in the next class period, like, oh my gosh, we got like $200 in an hour. We're like, yep, it's still happening. Chris, check it out. Check it out.
I definitely will. So we recently just had to do a $60,000 fundraiser for our high school program. Like we needed a new trailer, we needed a new timpani, new raincoats. We needed all the big purchase things just came due at one time. So we did our sponsorship levels, and it was like maybe once every 10 years we'll do a slightly smaller amount than this, or even if it's every 5 or 6, we're going to kind of figure out where the sweet spot is here. But we have 53,000 of the 60,000 in about 5 months, and it was just businesses, local people. I have one very, very generous donor giving 30,000, which helps. But seeing that was kind of
You
a shot
never
in the
know if you
dark.
don't ask.
Oh,
Yep.
and we really didn't know. But our school and our boosters we do two types of fundraising. We'll do individual fundraisers where kids, they earn money into the student account, but it's not actually their money. It's just earmarked for them. If we go on a trip or something, they can
Similar.
use it towards all of that. And then our boosters, they're a separate 501c3, so they'll do kind of big event fundraisers. We do the concession stand. Our largest fundraiser of the year is we host a holiday craft show in our high school with like 120 vendors, I think. And it takes 3 very intense days to make it happen. But it's months of planning for a few parents of just paperwork and, putting checks into the bank and doing all those things and communicating with the vendors. But we always do it the Saturday, the week that we come back from Thanksgiving break. So it kind of kicks off the holidays. It kicks off our concert series too. So we can invite people, hey, come to our concerts too if you like what we had. We run a small concession stand, but we charge, I think, $30 for a spot, which is less than half of everywhere around us. And right there with 100 spots, I mean, you're making a significant amount of money. We normally average about $10,000 on that fundraiser.
That's great.
And it's a really good community event. So I bought an old red and white Shaco and I put like fur on it and it's called my Santa Shaco, and I wear an ugly sweater every year, but I have the most fun there. Like the kids are all the helper elves. We give them Santa hats and they run around and do all the things. But it is probably the most successful fundraiser also for the optics of everything that we do. Like they're interacting with our kids, with our boosters. It's not really a product they're getting, it's an experience. And you really can't replace that kind of thing.
I'm going to need a picture of you with that Shaco on.
It used to be my profile picture, actually, on the TikToks. Yeah. But I'll send that over to you. You get to see it.
Before we move on, I do want to touch on, y'all both touched on it, but concession stands. And, I know in Waxahachie, the concession stand was, a big chunk of our funding for boosters. And I think probably the biggest mistake people make in a booster organization is not treating it like a business. The boosters concession stand as a business, because you really need to crunch your numbers. You really need to do some math, and you need to not be afraid to charge more than what you're charging, because you're not giving food away, and people are used to paying more than that at the movie theater. So I'm just going to say that and leave it there. But if you want to make money, bump up the price and you're going to make more.
You're totally right. We used to run the concession stands and we should have raised prices so many times, but we get so scared. I'll tell you, Coke and Pepsi deals are not good. And there's no way around it, but you got to serve sodas. But the deals that you get for bottled drinks are absolutely terrible. Like there's a reason most places do fountain drinks. And yes, as a consumer of Dr. Pepper, and I know Chris is with me, I love a fountain Dr. Pepper more than a bottle. And it's cheaper. It's just absolutely is cheaper. It's probably worth, if you have the money, to get you a fountain dispenser and do that, because those contracts are hard. They're horrible.
Yep.
Well, and the best thing we ever did for our concession stand, we minimized and streamlined our menu.
Mm-hmm.
We used to offer, I think, close to 20 different items. And it's a concession stand at a high school football game on a Friday night. It is not any type of restaurant. It is not Subway. You're not going to have it your way. You're going to have some French fries, maybe a hamburger, cheeseburger, something like that. And because we limited our options, we didn't have to compete with the athletic boosters on the other end of our stadium. We kind of agreed, like, we'll stay in this lane. You guys offer these things. And we branded walking tacos as marching tacos. And that was the best thing we've ever done.
Love it.
Because we sell out every week.
Love it.
Also, you could also consider stretching some of your product. I know for us, we would buy the big 50-gallon pickles. And around here, kids love frozen pickle juice. And so we would take all that pickle juice after getting the pickles, and we pour them in little ice cube trays, pop them in the freezer with a little toothpick, and then we'd sell pickle pots for 25 cents. And we'd make another couple $100 off the jar of pickles that we buy, and we just let it stretch. Or we would take this is really probably putting people guessing exactly where I live, because this is very area specific. Getting giant things of Kool-Aid and pouring it into the pickle juice. And now you have Kool-Aid pickles. If you've never heard of Kool-Aid pickles, I'm not a fan, but you can upcharge Kool-Aid pickles for another $2 or $3 and make bank on a red fruit punch pickle that our demographic, our kids love, and they sell out every game.
I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah. It's not my thing, but It sells very well here. What's some other fundraisers that y'all hear? Y'all now got me on a sidebar of thinking of all the cool fundraisers I've heard over the year. And like, I know of a school near here in our area that does a beauty pageant for the elementary schools in their district. And it's a huge, I think, 2-day event. And they get sponsors and all this stuff. And I think that band director makes a good $20,000 on this beauty pageant. And it's just all the elementary kids participate and they get judges and they sell out the entertainment and all this. It's a pretty cool fundraiser. It's unique and interesting.
We don't really do anything revolutionary or crazy. We do have a discount card that we offer. It's $10 for a discount card. It's got 20 some businesses on the back, I think. And they're all local businesses. So it's kind of, they scratch our back, we scratch theirs. We make $5 per card, but that's our kind of, like you guys said, you have the telethon version. We have our little, MLM and training sessions once in a while of, hey, you're going to have these 10 people. And if you can call those 10 people and get 10 cards, you get to go up, ring the bell and get a prize and do all that. But it is really great when our community sees, again, like we're trying to feed them back as well. So our warrior cards tend to be a really good fundraiser for us. And we start the year with those during band camp. So that way it's also drawing. They're so great. They're so great.
I have my discount card sitting over here. We just launched it this week, actually. So, I mean, that's another good thing. If you're in a community with a lot of local businesses and you're in that kind of area, it is 100% the thing to do. Like Chris said, you go knock on doors, you meet business owners. They want to support you. They want to put their name on your band card. And for a lot of people who come to the area who may not be familiar, or the parents, they look at that card and go, oh, that's where I should get my oil changed because they support the band. And
hey, if I get my free
it's a
chips
great
and
fundraiser.
queso, that's all I need.
Oh yeah, I want my queso. Oh my goodness. Another one that's interesting, my brother-in-law, he's actually a band director near where the band mom is. I totally forgot to mention that at some point. But he did a fundraiser for several years where he would sell tickets to the cafeteria, the high school cafeteria after school, and put on a giant Mario Kart tournament. And almost everyone in the entire school would buy a ticket. And the grand prize was like $100. And he would sell thousands of dollars of tickets for kids.
Wow.
And it was like a video. He could just turn the cafeteria to a video game place, and he'd bring a couple Switches, some PlayStations, and kids would just play games after school for like 3 hours. He'd sell popcorn, snacks, sodas, and he'd make an easy couple $1,000s of just passively letting kids play video games in the cafeteria.
I've heard of people having mattress fundraisers in the cafeteria, and I don't know what's up with that because that's not where I'm going to go buy mattress, but I know people that do that. So
I will tell you this, in our area, it is huge. And I'm surprised you haven't done it, but I know the people who have made lots of money off the mattress fundraiser. It is a big growing fundraiser.
Who is the target demographic for going to buy mattresses?
We have not done it, but I've heard you will be shocked by how many mattresses you sell and how much money you make off of it.
Okay.
And we've never done it, but I've heard it's something to try.
Like the Kool-Aid pickles, I will take your word on that.
Okay. If you say so. What's some of your most chaotic fundraiser stories? I know for us, I guess I should have mentioned this. One of our weirdest fundraisers when I first started at my school was a fruit fundraiser. And for some reason, we had a connection with some company in Florida that would pick fruit on Monday, put it on a truck, ship it all the way here, and we'd pass out fresh fruit on Tuesday. And it was not the easiest fundraiser in the world to organize because I'm not talking about selling 2 oranges. I'm talking about selling 20 pounds of oranges. So people would buy 20 pounds of oranges. This truck would come in and we felt like a grocery store hauling all of this fruit, getting all of our kids to break their back, hauling bananas and pineapples and apples and oranges all of this truck and putting it into our PAC loading dock to then pass out, and hopefully they all get picked up. Otherwise, our band room is going to smell like a tropical forest for a whole week, and then it's going to smell sour because it all turns. But one of the stories I can remember is the truck came, and they had just redone our parking lot, and we never thought about it. But the 18-wheeler is not going to be able to make it to our loading dock. And that we had to unload it. So the only plan we could come up with in the time was getting our box truck, our band box truck, backing it up to the 18-wheeler, load the box truck with about half of the items, drive the box truck over to the loading dock, unload it, box truck back to the 18-wheeler, get the rest of it. And we were all sweating bullets, hauling oranges off of that truck and putting it on the loading dock. That was the last year we ever did the fruit fundraiser. The story of why we stopped. If anyone in my town is asking why we don't sell fruit anymore, that is why. They redid the parking lot and we can no longer get the 18-wheeler. So
PTO.
yeah, that was very crazy, very chaotic.
I don't know that we've had anything too crazy, but so we have a local donut shop about an hour and a half. If you don't know the brand Krispy Kreme, it's in Pennsylvania. It's very, very popular. There was one year where we sold, I think, 800 boxes of donuts. And I drove up in my car and picked them all up. And that smell would not leave. Like, I'm pretty sure, and I sold that car. I'm pretty sure the next buyer, probably it still smells like the inside of that donut shop.
Oh
The
my
problem
goodness.
was I forgot the check back at the school about halfway there. Now, my wife was trailing me in another car in case we ran out of room. And so we're like backwoods, no cell signal, no nothing. She's following me. I pull over. I'm freaking out. She goes all the way back. And I had the thought of, I really hope that my desk is unlocked, that she can go in and get it.
No.
Now, the benefit is she's our middle school choir director. So and she's my assistant band director for our marching season. So she knew where everything was. She knew all of that. I get up there. My phone was at 3% battery because I didn't have my charger. It was in the other car. It was just a heck of a morning. And the guy just looks as I'm sitting there and goes, "Do you need a donut?" And just hands me.
Yes.
And I said, yeah. And he goes, and he just pulled one from behind his back. He was like, "I'm not even figured you would."
Oh my goodness. That's so sweet.
But then, I mean, we got back and it was great. I've never seen so much sugar in my life.
But honestly, let's be real. If you bought 800 boxes of donuts, he deserves to give you one for free. So I know we're sitting here saying, yeah.
Oh yeah. They also gave us 20 dozen for free to hand out to the staff, and you know, we made sure that went to our maintenance crew and our secretaries and our cafeteria workers and everyone. But
all the people who helped run a school.
Just when I was at my lowest, he was there with a donut, and I appreciate that. Random man from Krispy Kreme.
Well, when I was at my lowest, he was there with a donut.
Yeah,
I'll get that on a T-shirt. The kids will probably
Krispy Kreme.
I don't know if this is chaotic or stressful or what, but just what we dealt with running. I mentioned this during the break earlier, running concession stands in Texas. We had a giant walk-in cooler that was the size of a bedroom. And so, you know, if the cooler went out, we could lose thousands of dollars of inventory, and that did happen. So, like, we wound up as boosters investing in, like, some sensing monitoring equipment that we paid for by ourselves just to monitor the district coolers to make sure, you know, those things are so old. And, you know, the district has to keep all these things up. They're not going to check on that every day. You know, we had those. So if something went wrong, we knew really quick to get out there because it was just always something to make sure it was, you know, staying together.
You reminded me about, and I think I told this air, but I'm going to tell it on air. When I first got here, we had to run the concession stands. And thankfully, that is not part of our job anymore. That has been taken on, and we still get a check. So it's a very good deal, but no coolers, no refrigerators. The only way we had to ice down drinks. And so game day at 6 a.m., all our directors are out there shoveling ice on drinks. And then because it's 100 degrees in Arkansas in football season, at noon, we re-ice the drinks because now it's all water, but the drinks are going to get hot. And then right before game time, one last throat of ice, and miserable. I do not miss the days of icing drinks. And about 5 years after that, we finally bought refrigerators because I think we realized the water bill paid for the refrigerators on how much ice we were using to keep all those drinks cold.
We do a 2-week band camp. So we do Monday through Thursday. Our first week is camp. Friday of that first week is our concessions clean out. I spent 6 hours power washing last year, and I had to throw out the shoes that I had on. Like, it was, my hand hurt by the end of it. And that concession stand is the cleanest it's ever been. But we ripped paint off the floor with it. Like, it was just time to really go for it. But this kind of goes back to the whole, like, what is the purpose? I mean, if we're not willing to do some of this with the parents that we're asking, or, I mean, that's one where kids show up. And by the end of it, they were all sweaty and gross. So we just were like, okay, it's warm. There's the hose. You got 5 minutes, cool off. Like, things like that were they're good memories with the kids on top of good work, good fundraising. Like, there's a lot of good stuff that can happen with fundraising. And yeah, it's always going to be a little chaotic, but a lot of it, I mean, I don't know how else you could function.
Yeah, those concession stand days I do not miss, but I will say I miss that kind of bonding with the kids because I would be in there working with the kids and it would be a lot of fun under stressful environments of like, oh my goodness, this is the biggest home game of the year and we're all slinging cheese and we're all making hot dogs and it's chaotic. You reminded me of another story, and I'm going to shout out my coworker, Caitlin. She is now in another state, miss her greatly, but she was working the concession stand and we had no AC in our concession stand. So we have giant box fans just to circulate. And I remember, I don't know exactly the full story of how it happened because I wasn't there, but I know how it happened. She gets this big old thing of nacho cheese. She drops it on the box fan. Oh no, it busts. The fan is on full blast. Cheese all over herself, all over the kids, all over the concession stand. Nacho cheese blew over the entire inside of it. I think they ended up shutting down and like, okay, we got to clean it. This is going to take all night. We're done selling. But I mean, the pictures are hilarious that she shared of just the cheese hitting the fan,
Wow.
So let's go on to some hot takes. Should band booster positions have term limits? What are your thoughts?
Yes. I know that's
Ours
my
do.
personal opinion, but yes.
I think so. I think with any position you get someone stuck in power too long and it's time to move on. And like all organizations, they must grow.
Even if you're great at it, I think it's important for people to cycle through different roles and to learn other parts of the boosters. And then that gives other people a chance to step up and learn things. But you're right. If you have term limits, it automatically protects bad people from doing bad things or just grumpy people that don't get along with other people, from keeping other people out of the booster. So I think it's good to just have fresh turnover regularly. And that's my 2 cents. I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but that's my 2 cents.
My own mother was band booster president for 6 years between me and my 2 older siblings.
Bless her.
And she said she did it because nobody else would. But that's the issue. If somebody's already doing it, no one else will. So I think if the need arises for someone, people will step up. But if they don't need to, they're okay just staying in their role there.
I think you're right. And I think that is sometimes why groups are afraid to say there's a limit because they don't have enough people, but you have to create that need.
Yeah. I like what you said about letting people cycle through the positions too. Once you're treasurer, you probably should learn the secretary position. And once you're secretary, you probably should learn how to be an assistant president. Cycle through that program and learn all aspects of it too.
Yep.
Well,
I cycled through tons of stuff when we were in Waxahachie. And one of my favorite jobs that I got to have was we had junior high board reps. So each junior high got to have someone that was basically their homeroom teacher for the junior high. And then they were the high school boosters as well. And so one year I did that cycle because I still had kids in junior high. And that was so fun. And when he's like, oh, I can't wait till you come back next year. I'm like, I've already done my 2 years. It's going to be somebody else next year. And he's like, oh man, but yeah.
All right. How about this one? Should directors be allowed to say no to a booster idea without any backlash?
Without any backlash? The way that we work our boosters, like all of our meetings, I technically run, or our choir director will run as the directors. And then like we have a president's report, a secretary's report, a treasurer's report. And it kind of, I think, gets rid of the possibility of like a mutiny, for lack of a better term, because I would assume that some of that might just come from misunderstanding or not having all the information. So I think if you can work with the director, you don't really ever need to. I think I've only said no to one thing, and it was going to Disney one year.
See, that's what I was thinking. That's the only thing I could think of. It's like, what are you asking for that the director would say no to? Is this got to be crazy, probably, if they want to say no? Because unless it's let's spend money on this so that we can't, and then you can't buy a prop, and they know what the design is coming up. But.
All right, I can tell you are both not talking, but I cannot hear anything. So I am just pretending to go along with things.
Okay.
Okay.
I can see the levels going, but I cannot tell what y'all are saying. So every so often it like catches up though. So if I give it maybe a second, it's going to kick back in. Can y'all hear me, I assume?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or at least I can.
Has anything been glitchy for y'all this whole time? No.
Not that I'm
be
aware
on
of.
my end. It must be because my computer's uploading the whole thing. Again, I'm just guessing y'all are hearing me. All right, I'm going to just keep going and pretend. I'm not going to comment on what y'all say because I can't hear what y'all say, just so we can get through this because my chips and queso are at the front door from DoorDash. So
there you go.
Continue.
I
And
hope you missed your discount
y'all talk
card.
and I'll wait for y'all to stop talking and ask the next question.
Did you order that when we talked about chips and queso and the discount card?
Do you believe that booster clubs actually create an inequality?
I think the
All right, something must
inequality
have been funny. 'Cause I
is
don't know what you're
there
saying.
from something else as opposed to the booster club. Granted, I don't know. I guess it could go either way, but a booster club is going to be tied to that school. It's not going to be, it's equal everywhere you go. You've got different people doing different things. So I don't think that's going to be the cause of inequality. Now, it could be if you don't have people that are stepping up.
Well, and I don't think inequality is bad necessarily. And that's a very hot take, but each school is different. So what our booster organization would need to provide, as opposed to what, your school or, your son's school, like they're all going to be so different. There's no way to say we can level the playing field. I have friends that live out in California that the school pays for nothing, and the boosters have to pay for everything, like music, reads, oil, marching band salaries, literally everything that is not the band director's salary.
Wow.
So I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing that every booster organization is going to be extremely different potentially, because every band program is very, very different.
I will say the absence of a booster program can create inequality.
Yeah. I feel like we should give a thumbs up that we're ready for the next one. Jeez. He's going to watch this recording later. It's going to be great. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Now we got to stop talking about him.
Anything I should keep?
Yes. Yeah. We had the conversation.
Okay. What did y'all have a conversation about? So I know I don't ask
Inequality.
it. Okay. Even though I didn't finish the question. Did someone finish the question?
We finished.
Yeah, we did. We're good.
Okay. I don't know why it's working now, but it is. So I'm getting tired. So we got to finish this.
Same Z.
Yeah.
Hey, it's almost 10 o'clock here. So
yeah, that's way past my bedtime. All right. Do you believe it is better to have too many parents or not enough parents in your organization?
Having just gone to a contest where there were only three people, I'm not even exaggerating, 3 people running the whole thing for a band, it's better to have too many.
Yeah, I definitely see where the downfall might be from having too many, but the downfall is nowhere near as extreme as not having, the other. How about this one? The phrase, "we've always done it this way," is a terrible reason. You're shaking your head.
I feel so aggressively about this in so many ways. If you think about even the last 3 years of your career, of your experience, of whatever, if you say this is everything that we've done, I've been at my position for 4 years now. We could not do the same things. We couldn't do things the same now that we did 4 years ago. Like, we've had to adapt and change and innovate. There's no foresight in saying we've always done it this way. I do believe in traditions, but traditions can be updated and changed appropriately, or they can be added. We're starting a new one this year. I won't talk about it yet until it happens, but I'm really excited for it. It's nowhere near the way we've done things before, but it will eventually be the way we've done things.
And I think it's useful for especially parents to talk about why they do things a certain way in the boosters, because every year you get a new batch of parents, and every year you're going to have someone say, could we just do it this way? And I think it's really important to kind of talk through that process of whatever they're talking about so they understand you've already been through that process of X, Y, and Z. So we're doing it A, B, and C. I'll give an example. So like when we came here, one year was the lead chaperone. And so I just found what worked for me based on shadowing the lady before me. And I did it, a certain way. And so when I handed it off to the next lady, she's like, I don't know how to do this. And I tried to just be really clear, like, I did it this way because of this, but do it however you want. And a lot of times people will just repeat things because it's what works.
I think using "it's always been done this way" is absolutely the wrong way to approach it. Giving the reasons why is the way to go to it. If you're listening to this and this applies for anything in any sort of band or even in your workplace, being a teacher, whatever, "we've always done it this way" is the absolute worst thing you could say in any scenario, in my opinion. You have to say why. You have to give a reason why. And if you can't, then maybe it's time to look at other ways to do it. Maybe there's a reason you should do it this way. But just because we've done it this way, tradition, let's look at some other ideas. The world is growing, like Chris said.
Well, and when you have new parents take over, you might have a very type A parent that was your president before. Your new president might not be. I am live and die by spreadsheet kind of person, but I know that my choir director colleague, she looks at that and says, better you than me. So I think you have to figure out how the organization can work and say, this is how we've done it and it's been successful, or this is how we've done it, but we need to probably change X, Y, Z.
So I reached out and asked on Instagram to other people, what are some things that your band booster has done for you that you just absolutely love? So I got some answers here I'm going to throw out there and see what y'all think. From Nivea, She said popsicle and then drilling face emoji. And I think that says a lot because sometimes for kids, the popsicles on a hot summer day from your band booster is the best thing in the world. And that's the reason you're going to love all your band moms and dads in that. Just a simple popsicle means a lot to a kid. Anything to add? Leave me hanging.
I'm trying to think. I have what I want them to say, but I don't know what they'd say.
Let's see. This is from IOLE. She says, attempts to attend all games and most competitions and provide food for games and some competitions. See, that goes back to this popsicle, just showing up sometimes as a band booster and being that supportive group in the stands. Especially as if you're a smaller band and you're first at a contest, there's usually no one in the stands, and it's pretty sad sometimes to look up. But if you got your little band booster club in the corner, I think I saw Band Mom went to Indianapolis the year with signs, right? Being that band parent with the signs and being like, hey, we're supporting you, means so much to the kids when you feel like no one in the stands is really there for you.
And when you have that type of an environment, the other boosters are there to support you from other schools as well. For instance, what happened at San Antonio last year where there was a truck that got hit by a train and, instruments were in it. Well, all the other boosters and directors and schools in that area were like, what can we get you? And they got it there and they did it because, we're all here for the same reason.
Absolutely. And I think I said at the beginning of the podcast for the kids, all of us band directors down in the boosters, we are all and should be in it for the kids because that's at the end of the day why we are involved in this space. Jilly Bean says paid for all new bibbers and uniform coats for 70 plus people at the same time. I mean, that's
That's
impressive.
lot.
That's that
Being a
donor that
band
you just
booster.
got to ask because you don't know if they're going to,
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I see it all the time on the band director Facebook group all the time. Hey, we're buying uniforms. How expensive is this going to be? How can I afford it? How much is the school actually going to pay for it? It is, I think, one of the most daunting tasks for band directors of like, it's time for a new uniform. Sigh. How is this process going to happen? And a lot of times for directors, it's like, I need new uniforms. It's going to be 10 years from now if I start now. And that's sadly how it is for a lot of schools is I need to start now because in 10 years I need new uniforms. And it's sad, but it's a very daunting task to take on. All right, y'all have anything to add before we shut this down?
Nothing I can think of, but if we do concession stands, man, I can talk about that all night long another day.
Maybe we should, this is still on the air. I think maybe one time we should do a band director horror story concession stand podcast of just telling concession stand horror stories because there are, oh my goodness. Thank you for listening to the Bandroom Therapy Podcast. We hope you've had a great time and we'll catch you next week on next week's episode. Goodbye.